This video is going to cover getting the lot that you've chosen into Revit using the town website and the GIS system, along with the snipping tool and some scaling. So let's get started. We're going to start by creating a new project in Revit. Use the architectural template and go ahead and set up our program. So we're going to go to the site because we want to put this image in on the site. Double click on that. Make sure it turns bold. Sometimes when you click on it just once, it'll highlight it. You need to double click to actually activate the site. I'm going to put Revit aside for a moment and pull in the town website. All you need to type in is Old Lyme Town Hall, and then go to the home page and jump on to GIS system. Now I picked a lot in town that was one of the more challenging ones. Oops, thought I put that in there. And I know that some folks, a couple people in the class are using this one. So I'd use this one because it's a little bit tricky. Now, once we're in the GIS system on the town website here, we're going to take a picture of this and save that, but we're also going to measure one of the longer property lines. Now, some of the property lines have numbers on them, but you'll notice that this is actually, it's not, all of the lines aren't listed, and it's a little deceiving because this says 173, and you might think that's the full length, or 173 plus 31. But really there's actually 3 segments here if we were to pull up the official site plan. For what we're doing, we're going to do a simplified version of that because, again, this class isn't teaching you how to be a civil engineer. It's about architecture, so we're just going to give ourselves an estimate. So if you go to the markup tool here, and I believe Melanie or Grace, one of those, figured this out, and we go to the Measure tab and select Line, we can actually get a pretty accurate distance for this. The only tricky part is you have to keep your cursor where you want to be. In other words, if I click and then move my cursor, it changes my line again. So I'm going to say this line was about 250 feet, and that's accurate enough. And I'm going to write that down just because I might forget. So 250 feet is the length of property line from there to there. I'm now going to get out of here and go to the snipping tool. So under the window, I'm going to type in snip, activate my snipping tool and say new, and I'm going to go ahead and make a box around my entire property. Now most of you have already done this, and then you want to save it to your student folder, architectural design, and I'm going to call it dairy site even though it's not the one that I have. Alright, so you've got your site saved. You know what the longest property boundary is. We're now ready to go back into Revit. So here in Revit, again, I'm on the site level. I'm going to go ahead and insert that picture, and that's under Insert up here in the upper left hand side, and I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to pull in that site. Now I got to go looking for it, so I'm going to go to my computer and go to the tech drive, and etc. I've done this a few times, so it takes you a second. Go ahead and click it in there, and we're going to ultimately scale this, but we don't know how big to scale it. So what we figured out is if we draw a line using the Annotate section and Detailed Line, if we just draw a line, I grab my line tool right there, from here to here, and then we make that line the appropriate length, we're going to scale the picture to match. So I hit the Escape button, and whoops, get out of that command. I'm going to move my picture out of the way for a moment, click on my line, and go ahead and type in 250 feet. The next thing to do is to go ahead and try to scale your image so that the line that's represented there, which is this bold blue line here, matches the line we just drew. And now our image will be the same scale as our line. So it's going to take, I've done this a couple times, so don't get frustrated if it doesn't happen on the first go around. You can also use your arrow keys, by the way, to manipulate the image around on your screen, which might be helpful. I would say that's close enough for what we're trying to do here in class. So if your black line matches the blue line that you've selected on your property and it's in the same orientation, you're good. You can see my angle is a tiny bit off. If I wanted to, I could grab that line and move it. Let me just show you what I mean. If I click on that line, I could just change the length of it, or I could change the angle of it too. I'm going to go back in and make it 250 again. And then I'm going to go ahead and move my lot right on the end of that. Now, I don't want that line anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it, because I don't need that one at the moment. All I needed to do was scale my property up. I'm going to set my units to 1 inch equals 40 feet, and should have done that to begin with. Hopefully this will work. Now I'm going to jump into the Massing and Site tab up here at the top and hit Property Boundary. We've done this before. This time we're going to do it by sketching. And I'm going to go ahead and click right there and start all over again. Now, sure enough, it's coming out at about 250 feet. I can zoom in and get a closer picture here. And then go ahead and go around the lot. Now, some of your lines may be curved, and you may choose to do those as curved lines if you want. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Zoom out, zoom in a little bit here. All right. Oops, that wasn't even close. Just going to hit undo, get my zoom a little more accurate here. All right, try that again. So make sure you get the purple box when you click. Now this first one here is, look at that, it's obviously an arc there. So I'm going to switch tools to this guy right here. And I've got my arc now. I click my next point. And now I bend it in to match the arc. Now, I'm not going to do that too many times because the rest of you have simpler lots to work with. But this would be another arc here. I'm just going to do this property very quickly because I don't want to bore you with a long video. Let's throw one more arc in there. We'll go from here to here as if it were one big arc. And to be honest with you, those folks who have this property, I'm not going to worry that you do it, too accurately. This is just for you to kind of get the idea. So you can do arcs and straight lines. We get all that set. Hit OK. And I'm going to go ahead and move this guy out of the way, and you can see we've got our property all set up. Now you can right click on this and hide it so you don't need to see that anymore. And then you can move each of these out of the way. Whoops, I keep grabbing the wrong thing here. There we go, move all of those out. Now the next part is a review. It's similar to the video that you guys watched earlier. We're going to switch gears and go to the Annotate tab. In order to create lines that we can offset, we're going to go to Detailed Line, and we're going to trace right over what we did, which is part of the reason I didn't put too many arcs in, because I didn't want to have to trace all of those. So I'm going to trace that line, go over, make sure you're snapping to the endpoints of the existing line so you've got the same shape. You can do it with the arc as well. Snap right, zoom in and snap right to the end of that arc, and then snap to that point. You can get those to work. Switch back to the line command. I'm going to zoom out, and you can switch right back and forth to the arc command again. Get it to snap to that. Switch into the line again. Whoops, I think I may have, go back to my line command. And I think I did this as a couple different lines, and I'm good. So once we have that set, then we can use our offset command, and we may have different offsets depending on whether it's a side boundary or front boundary. So I'm going to set it to 30. I don't remember which one that is. Notice if I hover over the line, it'll go on one side or the other. Hover over the line, get it where you want. So let's call that the street boundary. Might have been a 30 offset. I don't remember. You'd have to look up your zoning. 25, and I'm going to take all these in at 25. And oops, I got on the wrong side. There we go. We can always delete those others. Now, if you have an overlap like that, you can go ahead and go in and grab the trim command, and you select the two items you want to keep. Oops, there we go. And we've got our offsets. That's all we need to do for right now. I think 10 minutes is too long a video as it is, so make sure you go ahead and hit save. And you're going to save this project, save as, project. Save it to your architectural design folder, and you can call it last name, first initial, site. Hit save.